Right, Harmy, let's talk about T20 franchise cricket and its relationship with Test cricket. It's interesting. Just for context, Eoin Morgan on a podcast told Mark Butcher, who was interviewing him, that we'll play the clip. I just want to say that it was p- paid for and sponsored by the main title sponsor of the SA20 in South Africa. But this is what Eoin Morgan had to say about that relationship.
I think if the shortest format of the game didn't exist, if IPL never happened, if no other franchise league in the world existed, I think cricket would end up dying in a ditch. The level of popularity would decline. Trying to sell a 5-day game or just a 1-day game, in particular to young kids now, is very, very tough.
That's a man Steve Harmison describes as one of England's greatest ever captains in any format. Eoin Morgan talking to Mark Butcher on Sky. As I said, Harmy, it was sponsored by the title sponsor of the SA20, so you would kind of expect him to say that anyway. But he strongly worded, it's clearly something that he believes. It made me clench my buttocks. I felt very uncomfortable when he said it, and the hair stood up on the back of my neck. But there's a possibility that he's right.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a huge amount of time for Eoin Morgan respect, and I do believe he's one of the best captains that England have ever produced. And there is a lot of truth to what he's saying. But say of Test match cricket, I think it's hindered Test match cricket, to be honest, some of the franchise stuff because of the technical aspect of batting. I think it's improved the bowling of Test match cricket because of all the skills that you've had to do. The wobble seems to come more prominent in the game. I think the way that that bowlers can change their lengths with ease. I don't think it's helped batters play the longer format of the game. I think it's brought money into the game, which is good. It's got different sets of eyes on it. Virat Kohli said when he won the IPL about Test match cricket is the best format of the game. And I love Eoin Morgan, and I think, and to be fair to him, he wasn't saying this just because he was on an earner or he was doing something for the sponsors. I have heard Eoin Morgan, both on air and off air, talk about the way he talks about sort of the shortest format of the game, and these are his beliefs. And excellent, fantastic for him. I have my comments and largely put my foot in it at times, and he has his opinions. That's what this game is about. Brilliant game is about opinions. I don't fully agree with everything that he's saying, but I agree with parts of it that it has. I look at franchise cricket and I see franchise cricket it's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's bringing a lot of money into the game, which is fantastic. But Test match cricket has to be the main focus for players from each country to aspire to be the best they possibly can. At this moment in time, for me, franchise cricket it's a retirement ground, which didn't happen in the past. In my time and Goffey's time and the time before, where you were finished at 33, 34, you went and got a job. You didn't go on the retirement gravy train, pension fund pot to do that. And this is my biggest gripe with probably franchise cricket, a lot of the players in franchise cricket aren't good enough to play Test match cricket. So yes. The reason that's where probably me and Eoin will disagree. That I think franchise cricket is there for players who have had their time. When A.B. de Villiers, Chris Gale, and one or two others just retired from cricket and went and played franchise cricket, they earned the right to do that because they played 100 Test matches. That's no problem. If in 5 years' time, I'm looking at somebody like, trying to think of a top T20 player, somebody like Nicholas Pooran. If we're looking at Nicholas Pooran and we're saying that's the benchmark for greatness in cricket, and not Stephen Smith and not Joe Root, then cricket's gone. Might as well switch the lights off.
It is such an underappreciated reality and truth that many of the players who we deride for not being not choosing not to play Test cricket. It's such a massive assumption.
Mm,
What are we saying that they're good enough? And do you know what, Harmy? There are many young players who just know that they struggle in a 4-day game.
mm,
They struggle in red ball cricket, and so they may say, "I'm just going to be a one day specialist or a limited over specialist," and we say, "Oh, shame on you." Well, and even later on in life, Jamie Overton said, "I can't do it. My body
yeah.
can't do it. I'm not available for the Ashes." And we said, "Oh, shame on you." But his body wasn't up to it. Some people aren't good enough to play
Mm,
Test cricket. And I was speaking about this to Eric Simons, who's been on this show a couple of times, former South African coach, and one of the best coaches now. He's been in the IPL for 10 years with the Chennai Super Kings. He's with the Joburg Super Kings in the SA20. I spoke to him about this and about red ball cricket and first class cricket, and he said, I can tell, even with a designated T20 specialist, I can tell almost, to within half a dozen games how many red ball games they've played, because you learn more about your game with the bat and the ball in four 4-day games than you will in 50 T20s. He said that the best T20 players are always those who have played a meaningful number of red ball games.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And like I said before, if the barometer of the best players in the world in a few years' time not be the player like a well-rounded Joe Root who can play all formats of the game, Stephen Smith who played all formats of the game, even the best T20 players, the Chris Gills, the AB de Villiers. I mean, they're averaging 40 in Test match cricket, over 100 Test matches. I think sometimes we get carried away, by the razzmatazz and the glitz and the lights and the money. That the best form of the game is still Test match cricket, and I still think that there is a place for all. And I think heads like Eoin Morgan and one or two others can put themselves in a position to try and get the calendar in a better place. And if they do that, we'll have a great game, because I think we've got a great product. I really do think in the world of cricket, we've got a great product. I just think we've got far too many who want to pull it in different directions. If we can get it in the same directions, where the red ball exists coincides with the white ball, I think we'll produce much better players. We'll make more money. The product will be better. But at the minute, there's a lot of everybody looking after themselves, Jack. And it's nearly as bad as what county cricket is in England, where there's a lot of, like we heard last week, of Farby. There's a lot of people looking after their own little slice of the pie and not looking at the bigger pie in a bigger picture. And I think, unfortunately, it's been like that since I started playing cricket. Will it ever change? Probably not. But Eoin Morgan has got the right, and he's earned the right to have his opinion. And there's a lot of it has got rings true, but some of it I disagree with, because my philosophies and my ideals about Test match cricket.
Harmy, those opinions and his views were aimed as much about spectators and audiences
Yeah,
as they were about players. And he used the gateway argument, which is, one that you and I know and have heard many, many times over, that it's a way to attract new audiences, and it's a gateway into other forms of cricket. So you 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 get the kids with the candy floss, and then you introduce them to the vegetables
yeah,
later on.
100% agree with that. But the problem I've got with that, and that's what I'm trying to say. At this moment in time, the gateway sometimes has an ocean in the middle of it, and we can't get to the next gateway, i.e., the shortest format isn't sending it towards the next format and the longest format. And the biggest example for me in this country is, the marketing people from the 100 come out about a month before the 100, have the 100, and you don't see them again. They're not channeling the supporters that they've brought into the game towards the T20 Blast, the 50 over competition, where you're going to see some of the best young players at their youngest age, because in 4 years' time, you're going to see them in the 100, or see them in the Blast, then see them in the 100, and then push them towards the longer format of the game. And that is the frustrating side of it to me, is there is a gateway, but sometimes the gate gets closed every now and again, and we're not pushing them in the directions where you're fulfilling your potential in a country for your whole cricket environment.